Hello, good people, and welcome to Hillbilly Cat History, where we explore the times, events, and people surrounding Elvis Presley. Thank you for choosing this video. When Elvis Presley met Bugs Bunny and Roy Rogers, a true Hollywood Lake story. They say Elvis Presley never went anywhere alone, but one sunny day in 1963, he slipped away from his movie set without a bodyguard or a camera crew. His destination? The lakeside home of Mel Blanc, voice of Bugs Bunny, and a surprise boat ride with none other than Roy Rogers. It sounds like a scene from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but this Hollywood meeting really happened. Elvis traveled with a film crew on Sunday, October 13th, 1963, to the Cedar Lake Lodge in California. The next day, they began on-location shoots in the San Bernardino National Forest for Elvis's 14th picture, Kissing Cousins. A few days into production, Elvis slipped away from the crew and his beautiful co-stars, Yvonne Craig and Pamela Austin, to visit a very special person who Elvis had loved since childhood. The phone rang on that sunny morning at Ches Blanc, the vacation home of Mel Blanc, located on nearby Big Bear Lake. When Mel heard the caller identify himself as Elvis Presley, he thought it was another phone call from an amateur vocal impressionist, a common occurrence in the Blanc household. Mel Blanc was the greatest voice artist of 20th century American cinema. He brought to life cartoon characters still loved by the world today, including Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Tweety Bird, Daffy Duck, and the Tasmanian Devil, and hundreds of others. Already a legend on this lazy lake day in late 1963, Elvis had been listening to Mel's voice since he began attending movies in Tupelo. Amateurs trying to break into the field of vocal performance often called Mel in an attempt to impress the greatest in the industry, hoping it would open a door for their own careers. Mel's phone number at Big Bear Lake was listed in the local phone book, and he was widely known as the unofficial mayor of Big Bear, so his contact information was easy to find. As Mel considered the voice on the phone, he could not identify this call as an impression. When the voice said, "I'm doing a picture up here, Kissing Cousins, and I'm coming down to see you," Mel humored the caller by saying the family would be looking for him to arrive and inquiring what car he would be in. Elvis replied, in a black Cadillac convertible. Mel asked his son Noel if he believed it had really been Elvis on the phone. Noel thought it was probably a hoax, but they were both excited enough to walk down the street to meet a black Cadillac just in case. As the unmistakable silhouette of a black Cadillac convertible rolled into view, their skepticism turned to shock. There was no driver for hire, no bodyguard, no assistant, just Elvis Presley himself behind the wheel, grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. Elvis jumped out of his Cadillac, embraced Mel, and declared, "Mel, I love everything you do, all the work you do. Please do Porky, do Daffy, do Tweety for me, would you?" Mel was stunned and delighted at the same time. He performed an impromptu selection of his character voicings, using Porky Pigs to invite Elvis inside. After a short tour, Mel, Elvis, and Noel relaxed on the porch and chatted. Elvis's roving eye took in the splendors of the gorgeous lake and surrounding forest before alighting on a wooden Chris-Craft speedboat nestled in the Blanc dock with the name Bugs Bunny painted on the rear. He asked, "Mel, is that your boat?" Mel assured him it was, and Elvis immediately requested a ride on the lake. Mel, Noel, and Elvis hurried to the boat and pushed away from the dock. The Bugs Bunny 2 was not just an ordinary boat. Mel had recently installed a new Corvette engine, more than doubling the horsepower of the original. This was a speedboat with impressive performance. A lover of all fast motors, Elvis asked to drive. This was no surprise to the Blancs, as every movie star who had ever ridden in their boat had made and been granted the same request. Elvis drove. Mel cautioned Elvis. The lake had a 5 miles per hour speed zone prior to the buoys. Elvis throttled up the engine, passing the buoys at more than 50 miles per hour. Without warning, a much faster, sleeker Yellow Jacket boat pulled up alongside, motioning for the Bugs Bunny to slow down, shut off their motor. Mel convinced Elvis to cut the engine, and they both looked at the driver of the other boat, who did his own triple take upon seeing Elvis at the wheel. Roy Rogers, the singing cowboy, declared he had never met Elvis before and suggested they let their boats drift and talk a while. For an hour and a half, the king of rock and roll, the king of cowboys, and the king of cartoons swapped stories of Hollywood fame and fortune. Their time together came to an end when Elvis glanced at his watch and noted he had to return to Cedar Lake for afternoon filming. The Bugs Bunny two sailed back to port. Elvis, Mel, and Noel disembarked and walked back to Elvis's car, where he said his final goodbyes and drove back to the demands of stardom. It was only 90 minutes, but in that hour and a half, three kings escaped their kingdoms, floating together on a lake where fame, fantasy, and childhood dreams came to rest in the same boat. If you would like to hear this story directly from Noel Blanc, or to hear Mel Blanc sing a song about Big Bear Lake, or to learn more about Mel Blanc, Roy Rogers, and Big Bear Lake, please check the video description for links. While you're there, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share with others who you know will enjoy this content. Thank you for joining Hillbilly Cat History as we explored this piece of the Elvis Presley puzzle. Stop on by anytime so we can chat again.